Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video on gathering spell components. Now, I've been playing advanced Dungeons & Dragons since the 1970s, and over the years I've played in many different games under many different dungeon masters. A few sucked, a few were brilliant, most were okay. Very few of them, regardless of caliber, required the use of spell components. Most of the ones that did either had penchants for precision or were outright sadists. When I decide to make players use spell components, I assure you I do it out of a sense of realism and the flavor of the game. I would never do it to make my players suffer. Wink, wink. No, but seriously though, should a dungeon master require you to keep track of spell components? It really isn't that big a deal. What I do if I'm playing in a game and the guy says, "Oh, okay, you got to keep track of spell components," no problem. I go down and I look through the book and I find the spells available to me. Either the ones that, if I'm a wizard or illusionist, they're the ones in my spell book. If I'm a cleric, I have to go through the whole thing because I can pick any of them. It's just which ones I want for the day. Same thing with the druid. What I do is I jot down a list of the components I'm going to need for all of my first level spells, because at first level that's all you get. You see what I'm saying? Most first level components really aren't that complex. They're not really that numerous. Most of them can be found walking around a small town. Most of them can be found in innocuous common places. Soot, string, dirt, etc. are common. Some of the items will require a monetary expenditure. Dungeon Magazine, I think it's, or Dragon Magazine rather, Dragon Magazine, because there's two of them, Dungeon and Dragon. Dungeon Magazine, as I recall, put out an article titled, I want to say it's called "It's a Material World." It lists all manner of spell components, their cost, and where they might be found. That article can be found online, and I highly recommend that you get it. If you're a dungeon master and you want them to use spell components, you're going to need that article, trust me. It's really good. As for the common items, offering to tidy up a smithy, a tavern, or a shop for a few coppers will grant you access to most of them. Most shop owners, blacksmiths, or tavern keepers will be willing to part with soot, dirt, or other garbage, quote-unquote garbage, if it means getting their places cleaned up. A word to the wise: if they find out you are a wizard, those simple common items might suddenly become commodities. Because, capitalism is capitalism. You don't give away nothing. You sell it and make some money off of it. And if some idiot will give you 10 copper pieces for a handful of soot, guess what? Well, I got lots of dirt in the backyard, buddy. It's going to cost you, though. That kind of thing. I've seen people sell fertilizer, fertilizer-infused dirt for a lot of money. It's freaking dirt, people. I'm just saying. Most temples will grant a discount for loyal and faithful clerics. Take note of the Player's Handbook, page 54, for the procedure for druids to acquire mistletoe, holly, and oak. Those are indispensable for druids. One note for the identify spell: the debilitating effects of the spell, combined with the inordinate material components, make identifying magic items a dicey proposition. You will need a place to recover, and I recommend any identify spells you cast for other people, make them pay for the components. However, and by the way, remove curse might not be a bad idea as well. I'm just saying. However, any dungeon master that hands out magic items at first level needs to be watched. He may very well be a Monty Hall. There may be a reason for it in his game, and that's possible. But if the guy's handing out magic items that you need to identify at first level, there's either a good reason for it, or this guy's a Monty Hall, and you're going to get tons of stuff you don't need. Consequently, the chances of you needing an identify spell at first level will most likely be exceedingly rare. All in all, I hope this gives you some ideas for how to acquire spell components. most first level casters aren't exactly rolling in gold, so chances are you'll have to adventure for a few weeks to get enough gold to stock up on all the components that you're going to need, all the stuff that you need for the spells available to you. As a dungeon master, I make it a part of the role playing experience to have the wizard and the clerics and like that find spell components. If you want to cast that spell, you're going to need component X or Y or whatever. And how are you going to get it? Well, that kind of thing. So any way you want to look at it, it can be part of the role play experience, and it can be very, very rewarding. As a player, it can be very frustrating. Just saying. I hope this finds everybody well. Hope you folks have a good one now. God bless one and all. Clarissa Lowe, a historian from the future. Delmore Kane, a Civil War veteran turned outlaw. This oddball pairing faces a conspiracy of epic proportions spanning the centuries. If you like action and adventure westerns with a splash of science fiction and fantasy, check out my book series Drifters and their ongoing adventures.